Hi there, my name's Priya Tew. I'm a dietitian and based in Southampton, and I'm pregnant with my third baby. So all very exciting and a little bit scary at the same time. I've got a 5.5-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and then baby number 3 is due in about 8 weeks' time. So I just wanted to do a quick summary of the positives of what you can eat in pregnancy, because there's so much information out there saying what you shouldn't eat. And it's really nice to focus on the positive side of there are all these lovely foods that you can be eating and what you really want to be eating in order to have a healthy pregnancy. Because what you eat whilst you're pregnant actually has an impact upon your baby. And that impact actually has been shown to continue throughout that child and that adult's development. So you can affect your child's health now if you're pregnant by eating a really good, nutritious, balanced diet. So one of the big myths that's out there is about eating for two, saying you need to eat for two for pregnancy, which isn't true, unfortunately. I think the best thing to do is to actually eat according to your appetite. So thinking about when you feel hungry, responding to that is really important, and getting in tune with your body. But making sure if you are eating slightly more that you're making sensible and healthy choices with your food. So I've certainly found that in the first trimester of all my pregnancies, I've eaten quite differently. I've felt quite sick. I've had to snack more but eat smaller portions. So I've perhaps had more dry crackers and oatcakes and foods like that in order to help stave off the nausea. And then second trimester, I've eaten pretty much as I normally would. And third trimester, I do find I get a little bit hungrier. And again, the guidelines are that you should feel a little bit hungrier and need a little bit extra in terms of calories. So we're only talking, maybe 300 calories extra a day. So perhaps a slice of toast with something on it and a banana. And that's all it is. So those extra calories might sound like a lot, but actually they don't add up to that much. So my first tip is think about your appetite and try and tune into how you're feeling. Secondly, let's think through what you do want to be eating. So you definitely want to be eating starchy foods. So you want to be having those carbohydrates at every meal. So focusing on having whole grains. So these starchy carbohydrates, your bread, your rice, your pasta, quinoa, bulgur wheat, whatever it might be, potatoes, they are the foods that are going to provide you with energy, and you definitely need energy when you're pregnant. So making sure you're having those regularly throughout the day, but you're not having huge portion sizes. So just being conscious about those portion sizes, because eating too much of them could lead to you gaining more weight than you want to. And then the next food group, fruit and vegetables. So we all know fruit and vegetables are really great for us. We want to be eating them. Again, it's focusing on the 5 or more portions a day. So definitely trying to get your 5 portions in, going above that if you can. So the way I do that is I have some dried fruit and fresh fruit on my breakfast. I have porridge most days. Then I tend to snack on a piece of fruit mid-morning. Then I will have some salad vegetables with my lunch. So that's already 3 portions. I'll have a piece of fruit mid-afternoon, it's 4 portions. I have 2 portions of vegetables with my evening meal, so I'm up to 6. And I tend to have something like fruit and yogurt as a snack in the evening. So I get to my 7 portions fairly easily because I've got myself into a routine. So it's really trying to find a routine that works for you. So that's your fruit and vegetables. Remember that that can be fresh, that could be frozen, that could be dried. You don't want to just be having dried fruit though, so maybe keep the dried fruit once a day. That could be tinned if it's in natural juice rather than syrup. And having a nice variety of different colours so you get a range of the vitamins, minerals and antioxidants in. The next food group is protein food, so your meat, fish, eggs, beans, nuts, pulses, corn, tofu, all those types of foods. So we want to be having those in order to help baby grow and develop nicely throughout pregnancy. So having those a couple of times throughout your day is really important as well, going for the lean sources where you can. So I find nuts really good to snack on. I feel they fill me up. I know that they are packed full of goodness. So they've got protein in them. Some nuts have got omega-3s in. Some nuts have got calcium, potassium, magnesium in them. And they've got those healthy fats in as well. That can be quite a good way to get your nuts in. It might be that you sprinkle seeds on top of a salad. I add linseeds into my porridge, for example, and having just a range of different protein foods over your week. So we have a couple of meat-free days in our week where we will have things like corn, or we'll have lentils and pulses, and then we'll have red meat. I try and focus on having that once a week when I'm pregnant, sometimes more. Having chicken, and just kind of thinking about the variety that you're having across your week. And oily fish as well, if you can tolerate it. I went completely off it in my second pregnancy. This time I'm okay. Milk and dairy foods, we want to be making sure that we're getting calcium in. So that's calcium for you as a mum, but also calcium for the baby. So we've got this link with rickets and with bone health. So thinking through, am I having my calcium? Now, this is something I'm quite proactive about myself. So I do really make sure that I get enough calcium into my diet, because I've had friends who've had problems with their teeth after they've had children, for example. So we're looking at 3 or more portions of calcium a day. So it's milk and dairy foods primarily. For example, that could be a portion is 200 mils of milk, so a glass of milk, 150 mils of yogurt, or 30 grams of cheese, making sure that it's a cheese that is safe for you to eat in pregnancy. So we're talking really about the harder cheeses rather than the soft French cheeses. So non-dairy sources, if you're unable to take normal milk, then make sure that something like oat or rice or soya milk is fortified with calcium and vitamin D if possible as well, because not all of them are. So check that one if that's the type of milk that you're having. Green leafy vegetables also contain calcium, and dried fruit. So dried fruit and almonds. So we've come back to those nuts again if you're having those as a snack. And then one of my last tips, it's not a food group as such, but is make sure you're having enough fluid. So where your blood volume has increased because you're a growing baby, you need to be having more fluid to help with that at times. So think about that thirst and responding to it. So I've definitely found through all my pregnancies that I've drunk a little bit more. Primarily, try and get that to be water where you can, or a glass of milk for the calcium. Trying not to have too much caffeine. So limiting the caffeine, having decaf, herbal teas perhaps, a little bit of squash in your water if that helps you to drink it. And obviously reducing the alcohol if you can as well. And then the last 2 things of what's really good to be having and making sure you're having: folic acid, so in the first 12 weeks, having 400 micrograms of that, and vitamin D. So this one's not always as widely publicised, but that's important in terms of baby. So preventing rickets in baby, that's 10 micrograms a day of vitamin D. So those are some of my top tips of what you want to be eating in pregnancy. So making sure you're getting your starchy carbohydrate foods in, your fruit and vegetables, your protein, your 3 or more portions of milk and dairy, and really responding and thinking about your appetite. And making yourself up healthy snacks that you can have ahead of time so you don't have to dash into the service stations and pick up a chocolate bar is something I find really useful. So I always have something stashed in my bag, whether it's some nuts and dried fruit or whether it's a piece of homemade flapjack, whatever it might be. Find some healthy snacks. If you can start finding those now, that's also going to help you if you go on to breastfeed or just in the general day-to-day life of being a busy mum. It's quite easy to end up relying on convenience foods because you just have less time when you've got a child. So if you can start getting into the habit now of eating really well, looking after yourself and preparing healthy meals and snacks, it's going to help you and baby, and it's going to help your whole family for the future. I hope that's been really helpful. If you've got any questions, please pop over to either my Facebook page, which is Dietitian UK. You can email me. So my website is www.dietitianuk.co.uk, or you can find me on Twitter, which is @dietitianuk. Thanks for watching, guys, and hope to hear from you soon. Okay then, bye.